Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of the now named Everything Jake podcast. And so we're going through some different configurations here, but the main thing is we're at the shop, and I've got a bunch of ideas for how to make this podcast get a little more wild on certain occasions.
Yeah.
Like I want to do I want to have people making art in here
Totally.
while we're also talking. But the other thing is, as long as we're connected to the shop and the people here, it's going to be cool for me. So today we're with one of the artists here, artist in residence?
Yeah, resident artist.
Resident artist here at the shop. And this is Patrick Ayers with the Jade Road.
How's it going, everybody?
And so Patrick has been on podcasts here, a couple of them?
Yeah, one other one,
Just the one?
Yeah, that was my first one ever.
Okay. Yeah, so he was on a podcast maybe a month ago.
Yeah, something like that.
With Arsenio
See.
and C.
Yeah, other resident artists.
And that podcast is called The Shopcast. So check that out, and you can get into some interesting interviews with some of the people here making it happen. So today, we're going to delve deep. We're going to get some stories from the Jade Road. And so, Patrick, why don't you, first of all, introduce yourself and tell them where they can find you.
So, my name is Patrick, and you can find me on Instagram right now at _Jade_Road, or over here at the shop in Monterey. Trying to get more stuff out there, but currently that's where I'm at. So, and yeah, I'd been into jade for a while, so it was kind of just a thing to get into making jewelry out of it, entice my artistic side.
Nice. And so you made some stuff that you brought today. So I want to get into the work.
Yeah.
Show me what you got here.
So I don't know the best place, but that's just a very small rendition of your typical like New Zealand toki. And New Zealanders are kind of some of the original guys to work with jade, nephrite.
Is that right? Wow.
Yeah, they used it as weapons.
Wait. Say that again. Nephrite?
Nephrite, yeah. So there's jadeite and nephrite.
That looks sick with the light.
Yeah.
How they tip. This is, for those who are just listening to the audio right now, almost looks like it's a small cylinder of jade that flattens out into almost like a chisel-like shape.
And so traditionally they come a lot bigger, and they can be used as a chisel, as something cut down trees, fashion canoes, whatever they needed.
So they wear it around their neck, but it's
yeah, or it would be on a piece of fashioned into something.
Wow, that's cool.
But they also made bludgeoning weapons and ceremonial pendants and all kinds of stuff.
Cool
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, they were into it. And so I primarily work with nephrite, and the only thing that's really different about jadeite and nephrite is just their crystal structure under a microscope and the way they carve.
What's the difference in the carving?
Jadeite's usually a little bit easier to carve. It's
really?
It's a crystal kind of structure, whereas nephrite felts, so it grows in layers. So there's like a grain that you have to kind of follow and read, and
you could chunk off in the wrong way.
Yeah, and you cut it wrong, and then it won't polish, or polish perfect,
so
to the quality you want it, not perfect.
What is it about it that you like?
I got into it because it was local. Nephrite is found down on the Big Sur coast.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
It's not jadeite?
It's not jadeite.
It's nephrite.
Yeah, it's nephrite. There might be some jadeite in Northern California or North America, but I'm not too versed on that. But so primarily what you find from here up into Canada is nephrite.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Do you know, like, the geology of where it comes from or how it...
A little bit. It happens deep down under pressure, and I think it's like a magnesium chloride composition or something like that. I read it once, but I haven't taken classes on it, you know. It's I didn't retain the information.
Not that would be that interesting
yeah.
to anybody anyway.
Yeah,
I'm just curious.
It's also some of it's asbestos based. You know, it's not cancerous to wear, but once you start breaking it down into a fine polish, you want to be really, really careful of what you're doing and you know, proper protective equipment and stuff like that.
Really like the way this lights up when it gets thinner.
That's definitely the draw of it, is how it catches light.
It's amazing looking. Super cool. It's like a magic little paintbrush.
Yeah, I've done paintbrushes. I've carved paintbrushes for people, yeah.
Oh, yeah, some palette knife maybe?
Yeah, cousin's an oil painter, so I did him a little palette knife. And
that's sick. Now, what about the wrapping, though?
So the wrapping can go any which way, but that's like a traditional, semi-traditional way to do it.
How did you come by that knowledge?
So I've actually was into macrame way before I started carving jade. My grandmother was always a very crafty person, so like having stuff in the house and just kind of like, hey, you should do this or that, and so
wasn't that handy?
Yeah.
You had all these skills built up.
And then as like a little kid,
yeah,
it all pays off somehow.
Isn't that amazing? Like you're doing one thing you don't know.
Yeah, it's like, I'll never use this anywhere else, and then it's like, oh yeah, I know how to do that. And hemp braiding, we were all like little kids smoking weed in the forest, and we're like, oh, we want a hemp bracelet or a hemp necklace, so it all kind of played into itself. And so it's, I think this one, this is just like a half hitch macrame wrap. It's pretty simple, but you got to do like,
you said it like that.
Yeah.
Just a little half hitch macrame.
Yeah, I mean, I worked in like tree work for a while too, so you had to know your knots. I never went to Boy Scouts, but I had to know like half hitch and bowl on, running bowl in. Groundsman, I got into one tree, I took one tree down, I was like, no thanks.
Interesting. Nice,
I like climbing them, but not cutting them down.
Yeah.
Completely different.
I did tree work for about 20 years.
Yeah.
My dad and my uncles.
Yeah.
Tree guys.
Yeah.
So I was a climber though.
Yeah.
I did a bunch of crazy shit up there.
Hats off to you. Yeah, I usually just worked the ground from like high school up until a couple of years ago. Yeah. And then getting in that tree was like, oh, I'm sorry, dude, I'm not doing that. If that's the progression of it, like, I'm good.
It's a young man's folly.
Yeah.
I mean, my uncle built up this really great business up in Portland, Oregon.
Yeah.
And he got in with this guy who was writing a book.
Yeah.
About arboriculture, and so all like the best estates wanted them.
Yeah.
They were like,
yeah, come here, come on.
And so as a result, he's got to work on the same trees for like now 30 years.
Yeah.
And so, every time he prunes it, he already knows
what's up. Yeah.
He structured them so they're climbable.
Yeah. I was like, all right, I'll be back next year. Let's make sure I can get over here,
And the climbable tree is the healthy tree.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
So, but that's interesting that you have that background with tree work, too.
We were removals, like the pines, wintertime, we were popping, did tree trimming through the summertime, just the easy moss removal and that stuff. But yeah,
when was this?
This is here from 2007 until up until a couple years ago, and the guy I worked for, he's like 60 something and still gets in the trees.
Oh yeah, no, the old time.
Yeah, he's nuts.
Yeah, my dad actually, he took a pretty bad fall.
Yeah.
Like about.
Yeah.
He's so gnarly, dude.
Yeah, it's bound to happen.
Yeah. He took a bad fall probably about 6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
And, he was probably like 65 at the time.
Yeah.
He'd been a teacher for 25 years, but just kept doing tree work on the weekends.
Yeah.
He busted himself up bad.
Yeah.
He fell and then, broke all kinds of stuff, but walked to the truck and lit up a cigarette, and then people came to find him. He was there just on his own.
God damn it.
And then they see him, he goes, I'll be up in about half an hour.
Yeah.
Like trying to smoke
Shake
off
it
the
off.
fucking broke and everything.
No,
Oh, dude. But yeah, so I tried to get out of it as soon as I possibly could.
Yeah, it's a different breed, and like, you know, I was pretty lucky to like just walk away with like cuts and bruises, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Like bad stuff, you know.
Bad
and
stuff.
it was like, oh yeah, no, that's fine. Just get right back into it. And it's like, nah, like
Yeah.
no health insurance offer, no,
I think
you know.
that tree guys are like it's almost like this gnarly like skateboarder
Yeah.
on the edge of
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
and at the same time, dudes do really badass things. Like,
Yeah.
Because the knowledge of trees and like what they do, how wood hinges, how you can what you can do, the
Yeah.
amount of control that you can have with tree
Yeah.
work after you've got experience is wild. Like,
Yeah.
And but it's all takes a lot of courage and
100%.
it runs your adrenaline.
Yeah, I
Right?
mean, you definitely feel the day when you're done, you know? You're like,
Yeah.
still buzzing,
And
you know?
the thing is, it's like even if you don't climb, it's still
Yeah.
warfare.
It's almost worse on
It
the
could be
ground.
worse on the
you know?
ground.
You have a higher chance of getting hit by anything.
For
on the-
sure.
Like,
Yeah.
in the tree, you just don't want to make the wrong cut your line, or hope the tree doesn't go down, you know? It's like,
Right. You have more control.
You kind of have variables that you can, like, predict, you know? And
Yeah.
on the ground, I mean, you could just get hit by a car depending on where you worked at.
The cars might be the
Yeah,
most dangerous
yeah.
part, for sure.
And that's just, like, you know, the start of it.
How did you get into that?
It was my buddy's dad and my buddy, and I was just like, I had to work, man.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know? And like,
It's one of those jobs. It's like you can just go do labor for a day and make some money.
Yeah, exactly. And like that's, you know, I was
It's
just
an honest
not in a,
job.
yeah, I
Yeah.
wasn't in a position to like go out and get a desk job or
Yeah.
you know this, that, and the other. I didn't feel like I could like qualify for like a regular job. I still really don't think I can, but you know, it was a different place almost every day or at least every week. And
Oh yeah, it's
outdoors
fun,
and like
exciting.
and sit there and smoke cigarettes or
Yeah.
what, you know. It was at the time it was like semi-perfect, you know. It was
Sure.
like, right up my alley.
Yeah.
But very seasonal and very stressful and you know,
Doesn't lead anywhere really.
not really unless you're like really trying to like get in the tree, do arboriculture, you know, like, and that I just didn't have much direction when I was younger, so it's
Yeah.
like, you know, it didn't seem to make sense for me at the time.
It doesn't make sense I mean, the only way it makes sense is if you get like a big business where you're hiring, you know, and you can't really control the quality that much.
Yeah.
Even like in my uncle's case, where it worked great for him.
Yeah.
He bought his whole situation, built up a little beautiful thing.
Yeah.
But there's no. So I mean, I would see that as like in my mind, that's as good as it gets.
Yeah.
Like, just the one person, small crew.
Yeah.
Hire 4 or 5 people, but you're always on site.
Yeah.
You're the lead climb, and then you just do it for 40 years, and then you've saved up enough money,
Yeah.
and you can retire.
Yeah.
But that's the dream. That's like
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah. Yeah.
For most people, it's not going to work out that way.
No, yeah, it's like you said, you know, you hire other people to climb for you, and you know, there's a guy around here, Topes, and he's the biggest tree removal that I've seen. You know, there's Davey, this, that, and the other, but he's like, as far as local goes, I mean, he's got cranes putting his guys up there. It's crane work. They're doing stuff over big $1 million houses.
A lot of it is about investment in equipment.
Yeah, and he's got the toys, you know,
Right.
and
That's what you need.
and yeah, it's like he probably saw something, you know, it's like, hey, I'm gonna get out of the tree and just make sure I have as many people in the tree as possible. you know?
Exactly.
But he was a climber for years. He knows what it takes, and
See, that
You know,
matters too.
yeah,
Because if you're going to send
wasn't
people
just
up a tree,
businessman, you know.
right?
He
If
was
you're going
a
to send people up
worker.
a tree, you need to know what it's like.
Yeah.
Because I've been in a situation before, actually at UCSC.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
climbed on the crew up at UCSC twice,
yeah,
at 2 different times, before I did graduate school and the last year of graduate school. My
Yeah.
funding ran out, so I had to get back on the tree
All
crew.
right, here we go.
Oh, it was brutal. I was like about to get my PhD back
Yeah.
on the tree crew, and then I finished my PhD still. But
Yeah.
climbing, but the guy who was in charge had never climbed,
Yeah,
couldn't climb.
Yeah, it's
but
tough.
so he wanted you to do
yeah,
on the clock, like climbing like redwoods all day.
yeah,
The thing about climbing is like there's certain moments that are wonderful, nice. There's certain moments that are stressful.
yeah,
And so not every hour is the same.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can't, like, you're
Yeah.
getting paid the same every hour.
Yeah, yeah.
You need to, if you know climbing, you need to, like, pace yourself. And,
Yeah.
like, take it easy a little bit on the in-between the
Yeah,
adrenaline
no,
spots.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you got to come down eventually, and you might not be done with the job, and then you got to get back into it. And
It's a lot going back up after lunch.
we would pull our boss. It was not the way to do it, but like we would pull our boss, you know, up to the first. You know? And it's like nowadays, like people don't even do that. One of my buddies is still like a climber, and he uses like state of the art climbing equipment, and he just clips in and climbs
Ascends up.
Yeah. He's got one other person working for him, and you know he's busting work out.
See, that's interesting too. Is that there's so much interesting tech now that. See, I did tree work in San Diego.
Yeah.
Did tree work here.
Yeah.
And tree work in Portland.
Probably lots of eucalyptus.
Lots of eucalyptus and palm trees.
Yeah.
Oh, but just the whole the 3 different types of tree guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
And 3 different attitudes about trees.
Yeah.
In the Northwest, it's like they're like scientists and they're super technical, like.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just like some wild, like, and they're not like rough dudes.
Totally.
They're like scientists.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then here it's kind of hybrid, I would say.
Yeah,
People
totally.
are pretty rough.
Yeah.
But they're also like the trees.
Yeah, yeah. It's still a culture around trees. You
know what I'm saying? Like they're not like they like trees. They like being out in the woods.
Yeah.
Like, and then down in San Diego, it's more like get them out of here.
Yeah. Just I don't want to deal with it. You can fall it.
They're getting leaves in my pool.
Yeah.
And I get it.
Yeah.
It's got a pool. But it's interesting how, first of all, how there is a culture of trees. Everywhere has a culture of trees, and then it's a different relationship to it.
Totally. Yeah, and we're not like, you know, we were doing removals. We weren't like harvesting for lumber wood or, you know, lumber or fire or anything like that. You know, it was they're in danger of doing major damage or they've done major damage or, you know, they're dead and they need to be taken out. And so it was... Like, it was always having a respect for the trees, you know? And, like, I love trees, man. Before I was cutting them down or, you know, like, growing up here,
you cannot.
Here, Santa Cruz, up north, it's just, like, they're the most spectacular creatures that are just still around, you know?
I know. So amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely but, yeah, the vibe changes everywhere, you know, for sure.
It does. But, yeah, it's just interesting, too, that once you have had that experience doing any kind of work, right? It changes the way you see the whole world, the landscape.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, it was hard work and like just had to be happy that I was working, you know. It definitely helped mold me when I was a kid. And that old man was an old man, even when he was a younger dude.
For sure.
He had been through it and he didn't want to, you know, lose any of us or himself.
Exactly. Oh, that's the stressful thing. And like I went to this EMT training thing when I was working with my uncles up in Portland.
Yeah.
So I worked with 2 uncles. And the EMT training thing was like, so this is going to happen on your work site. And the hardest part is it's going to be someone you love. I was like, oh, get me out of here.
What?
Yeah, dude. Like, how do you hear those words and be like, all right, let's go back to work?
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess it's just a lifestyle. It's just part of the...
Yeah, definitely.
Someone's got to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's money to be made if you got that go, and
for sure. I know. I remember because when I used to just do it as myself.
Yeah.
For a while, I've done that too. Where it's like no crew, just me.
So
do the thing. But I would just like go through neighborhoods. I'd be like, money.
Yeah.
Because you see tree work everywhere, and you know it's like I can give them a good deal.
Yeah.
Easy sell. Tree work's an easy sell.
Totally.
Because they get so much out of it. Like, they see what they got out of it.
Yeah, 100%. And it'll save them money down the road.
Yeah, it's a good investment. Tree work is a good investment, for sure. And that's interesting. So, what about, do you want to be a dad any day? Do you plan to have kids?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like the goal eventually is to, like, you know... it's been an upgrade in the father line, you know, going through the years. Like, my dad didn't get much from him, his father, and so, like, I got a lot more than he grew up with. You know, he managed to kind of not maybe change the cycle, but definitely alter And so yeah, it's definitely something that I want to do eventually. Be the greatest undertaking, when the time's right.
Nice. Yeah.
It's just, man, my parents and their parents and going down just didn't pick the right person. It was out of wedlock or whatever. It just making sure you're with the right person helps. Doesn't mean everything's gonna go right, but someone who's kind of has the same path as you or same mindset, communication, understanding what's going to happen and what's needed,
Yeah.
And my dad was an artist and really loved what he was doing, and really eventually became successful at it, but he was really good at it at the time. And no fault of hers, I get where she was coming from, but my mom wanted him to stop what he was doing. And,
That's
hey,
a tough one.
you got to take care of your kid,
Yeah. It's a tough one.
And it drove them apart,
Yeah.
And so understanding beforehand and, knowing that kids just don't make it better between a couple,
Right.
So I've just been really slow on that front,
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, it's definitely something I want to do.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Hear that, ladies? Potential father material over here.
One of these days.
Oh, dude, that's good. I mean, I love that as a mindset because we need good dads.
Yeah.
I think that's a great aspiration. And sometimes it's like you don't know if you want to be a dad, but to know is all the better.
Yeah.
What made me think of that though is it's funny that you have two totally different backgrounds for the braiding of the one's a hyper masculine one that we went down this long road of talking about, and the other one is this feminine one. But of course, we learn from our mothers, we learn from our grandmothers, we learn tons, and then someday you may have a daughter and you're gonna be braiding her hair.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's funny how these skills have these wildly different applications.
Yeah. Yeah, you never know what they're going to be used for down the road,
Yeah.
No real useless skill.
I think that's totally true, What's the next piece?
So the next piece, we'll go with a beach carved piece. So I try to hunt for as much of my jade as possible, but I don't know if kind of the lighting, but that's a seed pod, specifically a cannabis seed pod.
Oh wow!
That I was commissioned to make for a buddy.
Oh wow!
And so I kind of just kept it to the theme. I didn't go too hard on it, as far as trying to make it real,
Mm-hmm.
But that one, it was calling to me when I flipped the rock over and saw it. He commissioned me last May to do it, and he was like, "Hey man, can you make this for me?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely. I see it right now."
Nice.
And I was like, "I have this rock," and he was like, and I could tell he wasn't really.
Wow.
He's a local guy. He's like, "I want Big Sur," And so I was like, "All right, I'll find something for you." And then it took a while to find the one, but as soon as I flipped the rock, I was like, "There it is." That's the one for him.
That's so cool, dude. And that taps into something that I've been thinking about with art in general, which is how you, I'm so glad you said that, is how you pre-visualize a work, a piece, right? Because in photography, there's a few ways it happens for me. Yeah. One is I'll be just moving through space on a bike or walking, and I'll see certain lines come together, creates a composition.
Yeah.
There's a certain tree as I come into Monterey, or I'm like, oh, there's a shot there. 100% there's a shot there.
Yeah.
Now I just need the right light, maybe a person to interact in the space.
Totally.
But I found one key element to the final piece.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you have your setting,
The setting.
Yeah.
Now another one is, as I get to know people better over time, now I know, okay, there's a shot there. I just need to get that person in the right setting to reveal something cool about them.
Totally.
But so I was wondering with the carving how you could do that, and you just said it.
Yeah. like a lot of the time, I forgot which guy, Michelangelo or Da Vinci, one of the great stone carvers, is like,
Michelangelo, yeah.
I just pulled the image out of the stone.
Right.
You know, and it's like he told me what it was, and I immediately saw what I wanted to carve in my head.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of like a leg up, because sometimes I don't have that part, and then knowing what I wanted to carve, then I saw the stone that the image was in,
Right.
and I could just like in real time
That's what I'm saying.
put the transfer paper
that.
over it, and I was like, all right.
I dig that because that's a whole different level of making things is when you pre-visualize.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to do with the commission. You
Totally.
know, that's super interesting.
Yeah, and sometimes I'll draw out what I want to do. You know, I'll have an idea of something. It'll just come in my head. I'm like, okay, you know, like I want to do this shape and this style, and then I'll just wait for the rock to come along, or I'll have the stone and I'll just stare at it until it tells me what it wants to be. You know,
Two different ways.
yeah, and it's just
one
kinda
is
like
looking for the thing that you have in mind, and one is
letting it
seeing what the thing reveals to you.
yeah actually speak to you, or you know, on some level. So yeah, it's something weird that I tapped into, but I really enjoy it. You know, as far as that level of creativity for me.
Yeah.
You know,
Now, do you have any best practices as far as that goes?
yeah,
You do?
a little bit. I'm working on them. I'm developing them. So I feel like I've been creative like most of my life, but not like full time or as something that I want to pursue as my life's passion. Just spurts of it, you know. It's like, oh, this needs to be painted, and I do something, you know, kind of oddball, and it comes out good. And I'm like, all right, great. So yeah, honing those skills is a little bit different, and using them regularly. The main thing is like doing it, you know, even if you're not like happy with it and you're not satisfied with your work, just finishing work, doing work, being in the chair, and like, you know, at least putting 80% of your full attention into it, you know.
Putting in some time and some effort.
Yeah, you know, I mean, you want to be fully dedicated, but like, sometimes it's hard to do that, you know, and having outside distractions or, you know, earmuffs are really good. Even music for me is kind of hit or miss. Like, if it's got lyrics in it, it's got to be very specific and not something that makes me think too much, because then it takes away from my thoughts. You know, and what I'm doing is putting my thoughts into a stone, you know.
Exactly.
And so I need that creative energy, you know.
Yeah. And I think that's a really cool point, and because it's kind of like when you're writing, like a writer will stop reading for a certain period of time during creativity. Yeah. Like you got to figure out when to add influences in, and when to just have your own conduit to the subject of what you're looking at.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's interesting, because that's part of what I was thinking is like, I really respect work. You know, like we're talking about tree work. Like that's honest work. Yeah. I respect it. I respect that somebody gets up early, meets other dudes, they're organized, they go out, right?
They all got each other's lives in their hand for the most part. You know, it's camaraderie and
nobody cares.
Yeah.
Nobody cares except for the client at that one moment, and then never again. Yeah. And so, but I just respect work in general. And then I always think that there is way more work to art than maybe we think. Yeah. And some of it is that it's almost metaphysical of putting in the intention to find the rock, or putting in the intention to find what's in the rock. Yeah. And that's it just takes time. Same thing as with writing. Like for me, it's like I get my ideas by writing. Yeah. And every time I sit down, I write every day, but every time I sit down and I go, well, I don't know what I'm going to write about. And that's the whole point, right? Because I don't have the idea yet. Yeah. But if I sit down and write, at the end, I'll have the idea. Yeah. Totally. And so that's the work, is going through the process of whatever you have to do that you don't know yet, but pushes you till you find the thing you know. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I do writing too, just for whatever reason, you know. It hasn't found like a
outlet?
or anything. But I know I love writing. I've always loved writing, science fiction or
really?
just whatever.
Oh, cool.
But now it's more of just like getting my thoughts onto paper and getting them out someplace. And yeah, it's like I don't know what to write about. And then 15 minutes in, 20 minutes in, it's like, oh, something will click in my head. And I was like, okay, hey, I got a paragraph on this. I got a page on this. This is a good way to start a chapter, or this is something that I need to dive deeper into. And so and then that helps me clear my mind so I can be able to work on my art.
So much of the work of doing art is preparing to be able to do it.
Yeah. It's like getting ready for a roller coaster sometimes. I'll be in my creative space and like I know I need to sit down in the chair, and it's like it's the last thing I want to do, and it's like, all right, breathe, chill, like you're not going to mess this piece up, or you're going to be able to work for 4 hours, whatever. And we'll sit down and it happens, But it's a wrestling match.
And see, that's interesting because here you've been doing tree work.
Yeah.
And now you're describing the carving of jade as like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
But that's what's cool about it, is that whenever you care about something, the stakes are that high.
Yeah, totally.
And then it'll be the same when you're a dad. It's like same thing. It's like, and so it's good, I think, to just train ourselves to be used to that.
Yeah, it's like, all right, I got to do this.
Forever, it's always, it's always going to be high stakes.
Yeah, totally.
Because you want to be a dad. Yeah. So it's always going to be high stakes for you.
Because just preparing for it.
Yeah. But it's like when you handle fine art, your own or other people's, you're dealing with like expensive stuff. Yeah. And you have to get used to that. Totally. Like that takes a certain temperament. It takes a certain energy of, I'm not just going to clunk this thing around. I'm going to be very precise with my movements out of respect for the form of the thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
gotta respect other people's work. You don't have to like it, but at least give it its space in life.
Absolutely. And we do that because there's like this monetary value attached to it, and we're moving it, and we don't want to be like the guy who broke the $10,000 thing.
Yeah, totally,
right?
Absolutely.
But then at the same time, it's like, well, the way we interact with people, we should have that same, like we should have that same level of care. Like,
totally.
Because all these people in our lives matter to us so much as well.
And there's ripple effects,
Huge.
Yeah, I mean, it really does. Like, you can cause someone to have a bad day, even if you're just having a mild day.
For sure, you can do that.
And I try to be mindful of that, but also at the same time not like let it linger,
Yeah, but you can also just make someone's day.
Yeah, exactly. It goes both ways.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, yesterday I just doing my grocery shopping. I just like made the decision before I went in there. I was like, I'm gonna just like pretend like I'm an actor. But during this shopping trip, just for the fuck of it, everyone I interact with, I'm just going to pretend like I'm going to charm the shit out of them.
Just work it.
Just fucking work it and have as much fun with it as I can.
Yeah.
And the clerk was, the guy before me was just having a bad time with his card, and everything was going bad.
Yeah.
The energy was bad.
Yeah.
And the poor clerk is just, they're stuck there. Like, and then the longer that takes, usually the worse the energy gets going that way.
Yeah, it starts reverberating backwards.
But I was on a good one, right?
Yeah.
Because I didn't have any pressing time constraint.
Yeah.
And I decided, I was like, I'm going to have fun with this.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what happens, I'm charming people.
Yeah.
I just made that decision. And so once he was gone, I also gave him total room of like not looking at what was going on. I just knew it was bad, but
totally
gave him space. Happens to everybody, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I engaged with her, and she was, her name was Lydia. And then so I asked her about her background, Norwegian. And I just made some jokes with her.
Yeah.
And I saw her mood just
change.
Whoop. Yeah. And you can't always do that. Like, usually I'm in a rush too. And I'm looking at the guy like, are you fucking kidding me?
Come on, man, I gotta be nowhere fast, bro. Like,
right.
Get me there.
There's a red light I'm rushing to.
Yeah.
Which is really usually what it is.
100%.
But Actually, I got inspired to do that by remembering somebody I knew who was an actor who just everywhere they went, they just did that.
Yeah.
They just, they just acted like this was a movie, and this
Yeah.
was like the most important.
Yeah, scene.
There was cameras on
Yeah,
this
yeah.
interaction. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
And it made everyone feel special. I was like, I can't do that all the time
Yeah.
because that's just not my personality, my temperament.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's cool to know that we can,
Yeah, the power is out there.
and that our energy, it's going to affect people.
Yeah.
So might as well try to make it good.
Yeah, exactly. No, 100%.
Okay, so that's cool. It's two totally different pieces. One traditional,
Yeah.
one that's a commission.
Yeah.
Now, how do you figure out pricing when you do a commission?
It's hard. So like, kind of, you could get really like number game with it. You know, it's like, okay, I bought.
Hours, materials, and
Yeah, it's like I bought this stone at X per pound. All right, so I cut it up. I'm gonna use before loss. So I'm gonna use half a pound. You know, so it's like, okay, there's that. I gotta cover my costs and then make my money back on it. So all right, there's that. Then you factor that into your equation, and then record your hourly. You know, and then from there, how many bits it's kind of like people get really serious with it for sure because it's their livelihood just like any other art, and so I'm not at that point yet, and I kind of just do it by time, and I go like, okay, this is how many hours I spent on it. Perceived value is a big part of it. So like I don't want to, if it takes me half an hour, I don't want to sell it for so cheap, because it's still like I went down the coast to find it or this, that, and the other,
Okay, well, let's get into that perceived value for a second, okay?
Yeah.
Because I think with the commission pieces, there's a tricky little thing, right? Because sometimes maybe it's your friend commissioning you.
Yeah, yeah.
In that case, you gotta offset the bro deal with the commission.
Yeah.
But in general, the commission it's a trickier thing.
Yeah.
Than you just doing whatever you want.
And especially if I've never done it before.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know how long this is going to take.
Bar is set higher on that. So I would think that there is more value in that because first of all, you got to do that metaphysical thing of finding the rock that's going to fit the project.
Totally.
And so that's a whole like magic trick in itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Worth a lot of money, I would think, in terms of value.
Yeah.
Being different. I would think you would maybe, but see, it's interesting because there is a certain amount of unknown for you, so it's hard to make a plan based off of it.
Yeah, and so like right now I'm just trying to cut as much as I can and like carve and kind of record my hours and see how much time I'm really putting into it, and
what if you
the stone, the going rate of stone and this, that, and the other, and just, I mean, maybe not gouge people, but charge what it's worth.
Yeah.
100%,
No,
I'm not trying to make a killing off people.
It's not gouging people.
Yeah.
No, exactly. Charging what it's worth.
Yeah.
But protecting yourself, or just, because part of the whole thing is, it's like the better you can create a business plan that works, the more reliably you can produce the things that people want, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And so it's not about gouging people at all. It's just about figuring out the right price, the right value for what you're actually delivering, which is getting something custom made, one of one.
Yeah.
It's very special.
Yeah, exactly.
So I would think that people wouldn't just expect that that's going to be cheap.
Yeah. Yeah, I also, like, a big part of it right now is because I'm still new in the game and new to the creative process and supporting myself through my own work, is that I just make sure I make more than I've ever made before at any other job.
Oh, yeah. That's a good place to start for sure.
Like, hey, man, if I'm making $40 an hour to myself, like, that's great, I mean, I've had better days and worse days than that, but, like, if I can make that consistently, that's more than anybody else is willing to pay me right now.
That's a good way to level up.
Yeah, I mean, I have work experience, but I'm not educated. I didn't choose to go to college or anything like that, So it's like I I don't have the and not that going to college makes any difference. I know plenty of people I went to college that are looking for work, you know.
Oh yeah, no.
So,
Especially not in having.
But
your
I
own
didn't get
business,
any
so.
like certification or anything to give me a bump up in the workplace, you know, and just coming with myself.
It seems like a good place to start is trying to match whatever income you could be making otherwise.
Yeah.
But okay, so then back to the whole like what the work of art is.
Yeah.
That process that was like I'm curious. Who said it? It was this writer talked about, when do you. I only write when I'm inspired.
Yeah.
But I'm inspired every day.
Yeah, totally.
But that's kind of how it works, right? Like if you do the thing every day,
yeah,
like we were talking about earlier, 15 minutes into the process, inspiration happens.
Yeah.
15 minutes into looking for rocks, you found one. Like,
Yeah.
It just, things happen when you initiate the process. And so, but
Absolutely.
I'm curious as far as with your pricing. So, it's almost, because it would almost seem like with so many unknowns with the commissions that you would want to have some other layer to your business that's more just what you're making that you can make
Yeah.
for a certain set price that.
Yeah, I'm trying to get there. Like a big part of it is just finding a rhythm, you know.
Yeah.
And really staying consistent. And so.
How do you do that? Like what? For me too. I mean, even because I do marketing.
Yeah.
I'm an independent contractor.
Yeah.
And so I have 7, 8 different clients.
Yeah.
And then the stuff I'm working on. And so it's hard to. The way I do it is I try to just keep as much work stacked up.
Yeah.
So that if all of a sudden I get a bunch of requests coming, I have like stuff ready to already go.
Yeah.
But it's hard. It's really hard.
Totally.
But I feel like that's part of the secret sauce of success, is getting some sort of structure for your own.
Yeah, and that's a hard part. Like it's always been go to a job and get told what to do.
Right. Other people will give you all that structure.
I don't like that.
No.
I work so hard. It's like I can do it for a while, but eventually it burns me out.
Yeah.
And even I've worked myself into like managing positions where I only have real higher ups above me, like investors and owners and this, that, and the other. And it's still like, man, I get there and it's like, all right, crap, I forget what we're doing today. What are we doing today? Like
right.
I know it needed to be done. I wrote it down, but it's still so hard for me to do that. And so, that's where instead of making art, I'm like more of learning myself over again and learning how I tick and what makes me move and learning how to hack myself and trick myself and just kind of put in the time, man. That's really what it comes down to.
These are the things we need to learn. And
Yeah.
I feel like we're in a time when so many people are doing these things that we can learn how to do it.
Yeah.
Like I remember from your podcast, you guys talked about the war of art.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that you mentioned in resistance, that idea.
Yeah, it's a big one.
And yeah.
So yeah, I mean, So I only see myself as doing this full time for the last 6 months. After this show that T had, because I came in at a show, so it was like my first 6 months. And the other day I wrote something where it was like, my manager on a site used to tell me, first 6 months doesn't count. First 6 months doesn't count. You're just learning everything, man.
Sure.
Like, don't even count it,
Right.
And at the time I was doing so much, I was like, you don't know what you're talking about, but And like in this first 6 months, I've just kind of like I've built out my workshop so it's production worthy. I'm not just looking for stuff, and it's comfortable.
Nice.
And then I've been a lot of commissions, and so getting them out and figuring out if I really want to do this kind of like farmer's market hustle, or if I'm gonna just be aiming for shops, meeting people that actually want my work and are into it,
Marketing questions.
Yeah, exactly.
Where do you put the work facing the public? How does the public see it? And
yeah, exactly. Yeah, like where, it's like we're not on a high traffic area. People know about us. People come and support us, but it's not Cannery Row. It's not Alvarado. It's not Carmel by the Sea. It's not just in terms of foot traffic.
How does this social media work for you?
So it's like 90% of my sales.
Yeah,
for sure.
I would think.
So
do you have it set up for a shop on there yet?
Not yet, because I haven't been able to like populate my store. Stuff sells quick and like
see
goes out.
That's good though.
Yeah,
because I would think it's like certain glass artists.
Yeah.
They'll just show the process of working on the thing, and it's sold by the time it's done.
And that's another thing that I'm working towards, and I just need to do, is just clicking on the Instagram live while I'm sitting there carving,
Yeah.
Because I'll work early in the morning, I'll work late at night. I know some people like, just have set hours, and like sometimes I can't work in the daytime, So it's just remembering to click that on and get people engaged with it,
For sure.
And I try to stay off my phone as much as possible, but it is good for marketing, and that's the easiest way to stay off of it, is just hit the video and then kind of.
That's true, and now you're marketing and not on the phone.
Exactly, 100%.
Boom, win-win. Love it. Look, that's a great idea.
Yeah. So.
And because I think that would be the ideal thing, is to keep selling stuff, and that way it's almost like for anybody who wants to collect it, it's like they've got a limited window when they can make that.
Totally.
And if that is the case too, if you're selling it then you can really elevate the price of commissions.
Yeah, 100%.
Because why wouldn't you just do whatever you want to do if it's going to sell?
Yeah. Yeah, and at the beginning I said I'll figure out my pricing better after 6 months,
Yeah.
I didn't come into this knowing how I was going to do it. I just knew I was going to do it and figure it out as I went, which is not a strong business plan, but it's all right, I'm with it, that's kind of who I am as a person.
Well, it's just an early part of the business plan.
Yeah, totally.
Because like you said, you got to figure it out. It's just first, you don't want to make the business plan before you figured out the thing.
Yeah, totally.
First you got to figure it all out and then make a business plan with whatever has worked for you.
Yeah, exactly, through observations.
If it's social media, then cool,
Yeah, and a big part is just having it in a window someplace where the sun can hit it and people can see it,
Mm-hmm.
And so that's, a move for sure going forward. And just, like, I'm always running around. I'm not just always in Monterey. So it's like, the Jade culture around here isn't just in Monterey. If you go to South Coast, further down into Morro Bay and Cambria, and there's just as many jade hunters and carvers down there, and and people who appreciate it, not just people who are doing it. So there's territory as far as places to go that it's sought after, but getting outside of that and making it something that people want is kind of the next goal.
Well, I gotta believe that's gonna happen through the internet.
Yeah.
So I remember, actually, I don't remember who the artist was right now, but it was someone a friend was dating, and he lived in this tiny ass little town in Washington, but it was selling these glass pieces for like $300,000.
Yeah.
And he was nowhere.
Yeah.
But it was just his Instagram.
Yeah.
And because he'd do like a battleship.
Okay. Crazy.
Dab rig.
Yeah. Totally.
I mean,
I got glass blower buddies. Yeah. I mean, it
literally
goes.
$300,000.
Totally.
So it can be done.
Yeah.
That's a crazy example.
Yeah.
But I think that for the tapping into that global market. Now, I also wonder if I've seen, like, I think I saw Arsenio did a raffle or like a auction.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried any pieces to be auctioned off? Like,
not yet.
I wonder if I can see that being like a way to bump pricing up as
yeah,
well.
and actually see where people are willing to pay for it.
Yeah,
It's a good way to do that.
I would think that
Yeah.
might be a good experiment at some
Totally.
point.
Yeah, it's like I watched. I was in cannabis for a long time, and so
Yeah.
like I know from that's where I've gotten some of my ideas as far as social media interaction and just like what produces followers, what gets people interested, this, that.
Tell
and
me
the
more
other.
about that. What do you think?
Just well, like the giveaways,
Right.
the stash and dash.
Are you doing any giveaways?
I did like a stash and dash and a giveaway already. Just
Nice.
at like
What'd you do for the stash and
150.
dash?
It was just a pair of earrings and a necklace.
Wow.
And they were just small and simple, nothing too crazy. And a couple from Santa Cruz came down and got them.
Wow.
They
found
were
it.
on it, yeah. And they had found me through another Jade friend in Morro Bay. So like the connection happens pretty quick,
Nice.
as far as like getting out there. And then the giveaway, actually one of our resident artists ended up winning it. But, there was a good like 50 or 60 people that took part in that. And it gave me good exposure. I mean, I don't have many followers. I'm not too worried about it, but it does help. And I gained like 100 followers in a couple of days,
I think it's a
and
smart idea.
That was good exposure. And I keep gaining followers off of it,
100%.
Yeah, so.
I want to start doing stuff with that, like with this podcast. Like I think we're going to start doing, hopefully next week, we're going to start creating merch while the podcast is happening.
Yeah.
We're going to do a screen print drawing technique.
Totally.
Hopefully I'm going to invite Forrest
to
do it next week. And that way we'll have just like something that's a limited supply of merch that we could do whatever we want with, like, but also for giveaways.
Yeah, totally.
Because right now it's like people who are subscribing right now and listening right now, I want to reward them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I want to reward people forever for paying attention and being a part of it.
Yeah.
And
you help us grow, we help you. It goes back and forth.
Yeah.
It's got to be somewhat symbiotic,
100%. It has to be. Yeah. And I think that it's hard when you're a smaller business.
Yeah.
Which is what an artist is.
Yeah, 100%.
To make those choices, which are just marketing choices of like, it's a budget. We don't have a huge budget to give to a marketing agency but we can give away some merch or just even whatever our subscribers or followers might want,
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and so the auction's probably the next move for me.
Cool.
It's just kind of like, all right, hey, I'm going to do this, that, try this, and then figure out what I'm going to do next.
I would love to see sort of, for the auction piece, I would love to see your process of like when you start to even like, you don't have to share the writing, but like if it starts out with writing, just and whatever you want to show, but just kind of like once you initiate that process of working on that piece, so that then also people could see that maybe just the story, that in itself is a story, right? Every story has a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Totally.
And so the beginning is the initiation of the idea. And then that whole middle thing is what people don't know. And then the end is all they really see of like the final piece, the transaction. But I would think that would generate interest in the piece while heading towards the auction.
Yeah.
And I would just like, so this podcast is now called Everything Jake.
Yeah.
So I'm just selfishly saying everything that I want to happen.
That's the biz though.
Yeah, and I would love to see that. Like.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely do that. I love writing for my pieces, especially when it's a beach piece or this, that, and the other, and I have like a real personal connection with it. I didn't just buy it, cut it up, look at it, do something. Not that that's any less creative or any less work, but...
Well, it's different.
Yeah.
But I think, to me, that makes it more interesting to have a story behind it.
Yeah.
And to get to see some of that story behind it.
Yeah.
All right, so what's the next piece we got here?
We'll go with what it looks like raw and semi-raw.
Oh, shit.
So
wow.
that's a beach find right there.
Wow.
And that's pretty big these days for something on the beach.
Dang, that feels good.
You can find more when you scuba dive, but on the beach, I'm just a beachcomber.
Wow.
And so
that's a big chunk to find on the beach.
Yeah, and that's really nice hard stuff. It's Big Sur Vulcan Revert. If you saw it in the real light or put light on it, it's actually yellow with flecks of red in it.
Oh, wow.
And
oh, wow.
it's still kind of green, but it's got more of a yellow.
So it's kind of like...
So it's got a higher iron content and...
green eyes, like it's really like
yeah,
a whole bunch of
yeah, like hazel, kind of.
Yeah.
And, man, it was just under a rock. I remember finding it. It was the last piece of the day, and just... I was like in a place I never looked, never felt like I would find much, and just kind of like, like, I don't even know if that is jade, but it looks pretty. And then, later on I was like, oh, all right.
That's so interesting. Last week, Forrest was talking about, I think either his grandparents or his great-grandparents lived in Glendale.
Yeah.
And they had a metal detector shop.
Yeah.
But it's this idea of like finding treasure. I mean,
yeah.
This is part of the California ethos.
Yeah.
Like,
no, 100%. I've always been like a rock hound, but Jade just kind of gave me the itch, immediately. But yeah, it's always nice finding your own little bit of treasure and, a hawk's feather, whatever. Shark's tooth, those were really hard. My buddy found an orca tooth.
wow.
On the beach. And it's like, what?
Wow.
California's gold.
Exactly.
It's super cool. And it is that feeling. I feel the same way like when I go out looking for photographs. Like,
yeah.
Like you're going out, you might end up with the most amazingly valuable thing ever.
Yeah, totally.
Or you might get skunked.
Yeah.
Or you're not going to get skunked.
But yeah.
The degree between what
the
could happen
the
and what happens.
satisfaction, it's like, hey, I didn't get what I came out to get today.
Yeah, so sometimes you do get skunked.
Yeah.
But sometimes you get blown away beyond your wildest expectations.
Yeah, 100%.
And that keeps it always interesting, right?
Yeah, I have really bad days. I drove down the other day and I didn't find anything, at a spot that blesses me usually. And it's just like, all right, well, hey, thanks.
Yeah.
At least I got to drive down the coast and enjoy the sunshine,
Yeah.
It's not a bad day.
No, definitely not. That's a good work.
Yeah, yeah.
Good office.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so then this one?
So this is a bigger chunk of Wyoming jade.
Oh, wow.
Jade comes from, not just North America, but you can find it in New Zealand and where else? That's a good spot. I think there's some stuff in like Japan. Pakistan has nice nephrite. But Wyoming specifically has some of the best carving. And this is more of like a olive
Oh, wow.
kind of green.
Mm.
Just really nice and milky. And, it used to be really abundant on the surface. You could pull 18,000-pound boulders out, no problem.
Whoa.
And now you're really lucky to find anything. It's, either has to be mined or people just have stockpiles of it and they're just cutting it up.
So this is jade that you would buy.
Yeah, that's jade that I bought.
And how much would a chunk like this cost?
I got that on a really good deal on an auction. I'm just always keeping my eyes out, but it's anywhere from $40 to $80 a pound, so 80 to 160. And there's certain Wyoming that goes for 100, 150, 200, $300 a pound, and it doesn't even take a polish, But it's just the color, and it's this apple green that you just can't find anywhere,
Wow.
So. And some are what they call ventrifacted, which means it's been worn down by erosion, wind, and water. And so it has this really nice, like, natural polish.
Like that?
Like that, but
Yeah.
it's so much different because the water's sat in it, and then it's got froze, and it looks like a lunar surface, but it's like a meteorite almost, but it's just amazing colors. So my part of what I'm going to be doing is working towards getting out to Wyoming more and actually giving that a go, which is kind of like Badlands, no man's land. You're not near towns. You're way out in the desert. I got to be ready for that one.
I'll have to hook you up with my friend Neil Simmons, who's a photographer from Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
Who just killer photographer. Actually, when I first started trying to make money with the camera,
Yeah.
I was looking at wedding photographers just trying to be a second shooter.
Yeah, totally.
And I answered his ad.
Yeah.
And we went to high school together. He opened the door. I was like,
What?
bro, okay.
Yeah.
But then he mentored me in wedding photography. I think this was 2006.
Yeah.
And just killed it. But it's so expensive in Santa Cruz that even thriving wedding photography business,
Totally.
he decided to take the family to Wyoming.
Yeah.
So he got this spot out there, and now he's doing some insane wildlife photography.
Yeah. Crazy. Yeah, there's definitely...
He's gotten into, he is so good now.
Yeah.
But he's got a cool space up there, so I'll have to connect you with him because most of the stuff up there is like you have to have guides to know where anything is.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like he goes and photographs of grizzlies.
Yeah.
He ain't just finding them.
Yeah. You got to know where they're at.
But he has to travel around with. It's so funny because he was like a vegan vegetarian for almost his whole adult life.
Yeah.
And then he had to change his diet for whatever reason. But then now he's in Wyoming, so he leaves with a. He's got to carry a gun.
Yeah, something's gonna get you.
He's got to carry a big old .45 gun.
Yeah.
Bear mace and like be prepared for avalanche.
Yeah, crazy. Totally.
But see, that's what I've learned from him is that you need to have good guides.
Yeah, that know the land a little bit.
I'll put you guys in contact.
Yeah, 100%.
You like each other. That'd be cool.
Yeah, it's.
So Wyoming is a jade spot, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's easier just to buy the stuff than going out there because you can get skunked. You can spend 10 days getting out there looking around in the desert, and there's plenty of like beautiful petrified wood from what I've heard and all kinds of stuff. But it's like to find, something like that, you just really got to have the eye, know where to look, and
for sure,
old timers willing to share a honey hole,
Yeah. So with that piece, 2.5 pounds.
Yeah.
Would you turn that into multiple pieces?
Yeah. So I'm not really too into like bigger sculpting and whatnot. Maybe one day, or if the piece really calls for it, you know, I see something in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll probably slice that down into a couple pendants, earrings, maybe some like functional art, chillums, stuff like that. So,
so how do you break that down? Like, how does it?
Everything usually has to be done with diamond. Any kind of cutting or like
So it's
working
just like
at. Yeah. So I use a tile saw. People, if you say that in the lapidary community, people are like, "No, you got to get a slab saw and this, that, and the other," and those are really good for like big hunks. But when you're trying to cut earrings or little stuff, like a tile saw, you want faster RPMs. And so I have a 10-inch tile saw in my shop, and it's not big enough, to be honest, but I work it, So yeah, and the bigger saw you have, the bigger pieces you can kind of start working with. I've seen people with 36-inch saws, and you gotta just bolt them down, with the truck ties,
Wow.
and then it just sits on top. It's gravity worked, and that's one way to do it. But yeah, it's
but you just have a handheld tile saw that.
No, it's like a one that I work on.
Gotcha.
On a on a tray, just like a tile saw.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just, but you're working in smaller.
Yeah, so like this is kind of as big as I can work with manage right now, without like burning my saw, and getting it up and working it down and kind of working the angles, flipping it, because 10 inches is really only 5-inch. So
Right.
you need more work.
So is that something that if you add to your, in other words, are you looking for a jade plug?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no.
If anyone out there is listening, if this gets out to anyone through the Jade Road network.
Yeah. I know some people with a lot of jade. Some people I've just chosen not to like really work with for personal reasons or whatever, I'd say I'm probably a little bit of an idealist, I guess, or work with like-minded individuals.
Well, that's what I'm
So-
saying. Like that would be a good reason to use this sort of platform.
Yeah, so I'm always like interested in looking at what you got, and I do buy Jade. So yeah, absolutely.
Because I would think there's some people out there who appreciate Jade,
Yeah,
and they don't want it just to go to anybody. Same way that you are feeling about it.
yeah, and I have people randomly hit me up on Instagram saying, "Hey, I got slabs.
Wow.
Like come and check it out if you want. Like, or I like your work. I would like you to
Yeah,
make
yeah.
something for me, and maybe I can pay you in Jade or."
Interesting.
And so I'm open to like that kind of work. I like work trades and work hustles like that,
Sure.
And but I have a buddy close that he works full time. He's got a good job, but he's a fiend just like me. So he's always buying like, and so he'll just come and drop these beautiful little slabs on my table. So like, here you go,
Nice,
here you
nice.
go. That's nice. And then a buddy down in Big Sur that free dives and knows the spots and knows where to look. And so it's really easy for me to just go down there, give him some of my money, hang out with him, and he blesses me. He's so nice to me.
Nice.
And so like, and we're simple folk. I like the business side of it. This is definitely my hustle and like what I like to do,
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, like, it's also it's something like in the community, like we know what we're going through, especially because we're both hunters, and so it's like, hey, like we kind of have this like understanding for each other where it's like we both kind of like
Jade hunters?
yeah. So like
Interesting.
we're a little bit less strict on each other. We're not trying to like charge each other. It's just it's kind of this like hippie mentality with some of those people, where it's
That's what. Wow, that's a full
trading time
name.
and energy,
Jade hunters. I like that. That's
yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Got it. That's what I started as, I had to stay out of trouble. It's being on the coast. It's
Yeah.
a good way to do that,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay. Now what? What else? What's the next piece?
So this is an original, semi-original. It was definitely inspired by this Canadian carver, and I just blended a couple of his styles that he did. But that's Siberian nephrite. So Siberia is also another place that has jade and comes in all different colors, and that's based off like a Mesoamerican design,
wow.
that they carved in jadeite or some sort of stone back in the day.
It's got that one orangish vein.
Yeah.
That's cool,
So
man.
that's actually some Sharpie. And so what I do, part of
Oh,
my
really?
process is sharpening the piece so that I create a layer over it, and then I sand all the Sharpie away to know that I've done really good. And that just got stuck in the vein, so I gotta take it out with like some mineral oil or rubbing alcohol.
Oh, tricky.
But I've tried to break that piece off and it's not coming off, so it's structurally speaking, it's all right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like I'm always trying to make sure that my stuff's wearable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to put out too much that breaks. If you're playing tackle football with earrings and they break, that's on you. But
Right. Reasonable.
yeah,
wear and
reasonable
tear.
strength, and that's the reason I work in jade is because it's very wearable. It's very strong. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, it'll hold. So yeah, that and
That's a
then
cool piece.
busted out like a quick leaf,
Right.
last night, and it's nowhere near being finished.
Oh
but-
no way! This is a work in progress from last night.
Yeah. It was a
Wow.
scrap piece, and I was looking at it, and I was like, just all right, I got 5 minutes, boom, 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 and just like,
Wow.
give it its initial shaping,
Roughing it out.
yeah.
So do you have different tools for the different stages of the process? Is that how it goes? You start out rougher and then get more fine?
Yeah, so I could go from like a 120 diamond burrs or 200 sometimes to 400 to a 600.
And what's the nature of that tool? Like,
The carving,
yeah.
it's like a Dremel, but it's just
What's a Dremel?
yeah. So technically, it's like a flex shaft rotary tool, and what it is it's a motor with a cable attached to a hand chuck, and so it's movable in your hand. You can kind of articulate, and get in there better
Okay.
for what you want to do. And then there's a point carver, which is just a fixed position grinder, and so you just put your bits in and then work the piece against that,
Okay.
and that's kind of the move. And then different bits, for trying to get to the pre-polish. And then polishing I'll do a bunch of different ways. I'll either use diamond paste on some, which is pretty quick, or I'll just use sandpaper and just get it to a nice finish, because diamond polish will stop light from getting in as much, so you don't get as much play when someone's wearing it. So there's that, or there's cerium oxide, which is used with RPMs and leather, and like rough leather, and you're just putting cerium oxide's crushed sapphire.
Oh, well.
So you like get it a little wet, and you're really just working it, and it burnishes it and works it really well, but it doesn't like do this diamond polish kind of thing. Like light can still play through it. So
So
yeah,
which one's the diamond polish one here?
this is a diamond polish right here.
Next one. Nice.
Yeah, and you can like
Oh, wow.
and that's some Canadian nephrite from the Cassiar Mountain Range.
And what is the form of this one?
That's a traditional fish hook that was a commission.
Wow.
And it's the fish hook from the Maori culture, which is New Zealanders, and they
Wow.
believed that their god, or the creator of New Zealand, pulled New Zealand up with a fish hook.
Oh,
He pulled the land out of the water, and so that's a very
It's like a creation.
yeah,
myth kind
yeah.
of
Some
a-
people just see it as a fish hook, and I try to learn about whatever I'm carving. So if I'm
Yeah.
carving a feather, I try to learn about a feather.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm carving a leaf, I'm trying to learn about a leaf. So it's at least a little bit of a lesson, and I give some respect to it.
I like that. Yeah. It's like
Yeah. I mean,
learning about other cultures through.
yeah, and I mean, it's part of the Jade culture. I know there's some people that scream cultural appropriation out there, this, that, and the other, but it's more of me paying homage to the people that came before me,
Yeah, there's a
And-
difference. There's cultural appreciation, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, I'm really into, like, paying the dues and the respects,
That's dope.
if there's a better way I can do it, let me know. But, it's
Why do you think that is your approach?
on what? The
In other words, where do you get your humility from? Just from life experience, or
Yeah, totally, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm rough and tumble, just like the stone.
yeah,
I definitely got. I just didn't get the right tools to start off with, or had the wrong mindset, or whatever, and just really had to learn through life experiences what works and doesn't work, and not
You know-
trying to manipulate it, but it's
Yeah.
like, man, I gotta be able to at least live with myself, and get through life. And
you mean just like how you feel about yourself, and
yeah,
what you're doing, yeah.
In general, I mean, because if you don't feel good about yourself, at least for me, I can only speak for myself on this, but if I don't feel good about myself, it's really hard for me to do work and have a life and relationships and whatever, it all
For
plays
sure.
into itself. So
it's all got to start with you.
yeah, having an understanding for myself, a greater understanding, and always trying to work towards that allows for everything else to happen,
Nice.
in my experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely know how to be humiliated and humble, and just kind of not try to take myself too seriously. What I've noticed in the Jade community, and not gonna name any names or call any shots, but it's just a rock, and some people act like it's it's everything to them, and you can't and it's if you bite someone's idea a little bit, or this, that, and the other, you're just a flagrant, plagiarizer, or it's, and like if you're not a Chinese jade carver or a New Zealand carver from 10,000 years ago, you're not original.
Oh,
You
okay.
know what I mean? It's kind of like I'm not saying it's all been done, but it's not anything new. It's just contemporary. You know, people are putting in their own feelings and passions into it. So I get where people get like upset about it, but it's also like imitation is the highest form of flattery. You know, and like
Yeah.
it's if you're good, you're good. You shouldn't worry about it.
I
Figure out the ideas. You know.
100%. Yeah, I agree. I think that's a mindset that is slowly going away
Yeah.
as there's more people who see examples of collaboration actually helps out both people.
Yeah.
And like, somebody goes, "Oh, that's a kind of a cool different one," and you say, "Oh, well, I was inspired by this guy,"
Yeah.
and then he's got a new fan.
Yeah.
That's-
Yeah. Exactly.
It could work that way just as
Yeah.
easily, right?
And I think it goes every way. If that happens with me, it happens for somebody else doing
Yeah.
that to me. It's not,
No, exactly.
it's not something we have to like hold and protect. For when I hear that stuff, it makes me feel like people are really insecure about their art and they don't feel like they have anything going and they're not able to like make something good ever again, you know?
For sure.
It might not be that extreme, but
I
that's
know,
how I
right.
like,
Well, what it tells me too is that they're not doing the work.
yeah,
Because if you do the work enough, you're gonna get more ideas. You just gotta sit down and do the work, and the idea will come.
yeah, exactly.
If you're not gonna get skunked forever.
Yeah.
If you keep
No.
going out there.
Yeah.
If you keep going out there, you're gonna get the epiphany. The
Yeah,
idea
totally.
will come. The rock will be there.
Totally.
And
Yeah, I mean, I jade hunted for years and I didn't find anything. I didn't know where to look. Like, I found a piece my first time and I was hooked, dude. And then for like maybe 6-7 years after that, I was
Wow.
just picking up whatever. I
Oh,
was like,
wow.
I know this isn't jade. But I drove 2 hours to get here.
wow.
You know, I might as well pick something up, you know? And like, I'm in my 13th year of hunting and I finally feel like my eyes are adjusting.
See, okay, so that's part of. I think that's an important part of this story.
Yeah.
I think you should foreground
Yeah,
that part of the
yeah.
story because when you say you just are 6 months in to it,
Yeah,
This part-
yeah.
that doesn't give you enough credit.
Totally. Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Because especially as far as that sort of metaphysical hunting for the rock, the
Yeah,
jade hunter aspect,
yeah.
thir-
Yeah,
13 years is a whole lot different.
yeah, you're right. I feel like I've only been carving full time for 6 months, but it's been a very long journey and like a lot of like passion building up inside and like commitment to
yeah.
like just trying to like find something and not finding anything, you know?
Yeah.
There was times when, dude, the road washes out a lot in the winter, and there was a time when I couldn't get down there
Oh, wow.
for 2.5 years.
Oh, wow.
2.5 years. I was just like,
Wow. That's amazing.
and I wasn't carving, you know, at
Yeah.
then. I was just a hunter, and I was just like going nuts,
Wow.
you know, as far as my release, you know,
Right.
like my happy place. So
The jade hunter can't hunt.
yeah, like so that's where carving kind of comes into play because at least you still have it in your hand and you're working with it, and like it just came from punching holes at the beginning and giving necklaces to like a girl I liked or
Yeah.
something like that. Not even real carving. And then I was stuck out living in a tent out in Kashawa, and like
Oh, shit,
my
dude.
grandma
That's a
dropped
great fucking sentence.
yeah, my grandma like dropped a stash on me of rocks. She was
Nice.
like trying to give it to me, and I was about to throw it away.
Your dad's mom or your mom's mom?
Yeah, my dad's mom. And so I looked into it, and I was like, oh man, there's actually some jade in here. You know, there's some stuff I can work on. And so I started. I burnt out all the Dremels she gave me, the 1970 Dremels. I wasn't carving right. I mean, it's definitely been an evolution.
Right.
You know, it wasn't like I just had money. I was like, hey, everybody else is jade carving around here, and they're making money. I'm gonna do this. You know, it was just like.
Okay, so
And
I
not
mean,
that everybody else is, but seeing other people do it.
this is just me as a writer reflecting on what you just said. To
Yeah.
me, like that's a great starting point too. Of, when did you start carving? Well, I was living in a tent in Kenosha. What was it?
Kashawa.
Kashawa.
Yeah, it's out in Carmel Valley. It's
Boom! But right
out
there,
there.
that is like a great
Yeah,
because what it means is you're a real jade hunter.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like the tree work makes me believe it more.
yeah,
The 2.5 years waiting makes me believe it more.
Yeah.
All those things are important parts of the story
Totally.
that make who you are more interesting, but also it makes the work more valuable because there's a passion there.
Totally.
And yeah. Now, okay, so do we have any other pieces?
No, that's about it. I mean, I have
what's
like
this one?
This one is just something, you know. I come from like the hip hop generation, and I
Yeah.
love,
Sick.
some bling, and
Nice, bro.
it's always people, other carvers are doing whatever they're doing, and there's definitely some traditional pieces to do. But
Dude.
I had this like glass pendant that reminded me
That's
of it.
rad. I was gonna say, like, doing pieces for artists might be another way to get your the higher bracket.
100%.
Yeah.
And so, like, I just wanted to, put some gold on one, and I for a time I wanted to get into a little bit more like jewelry making, but I'm just gonna stick with what I do.
That's cool. That's interesting. I like that. So
yeah, and it's just a nice window. It's from someone's prized finds. Like, it was some of the best jade they had, and I made a little handmade bead. And
so is that the music you like? Do you like hip hop?
oh man, I grew up. My dad's a musician, so I grew up on the Beatles and Hendrix and classic rock. But then at one point, I was like 9. He was like, "All right, this is Beastie Boys." Like,
that was my first one.
This is funk. This is Parliament. This is and I didn't listen to rap for a long time, or hip hop or anything like that. And then I went through the system, and everybody was listening to it. So like, people were like, "Oh, you got to listen to this. You got to listen to that." You got
turned on to good music,
and
that's one benefit, huh?
And for the longest time, for the longest time, I just thought it was just ridiculous, like ho bitch shit. It was like, but it's just modern day blues.
Yeah.
It's just redone a little bit, and hip hop is still really big on my radar, but I don't really like venture into new music too much anymore.
Yeah.
I just kind of dig through the old stuff, and then when new stuff's good, I'll hear it if it's good,
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, hopefully.
For sure. So I just I love hip hop. I do follow it a little bit more, new stuff now, mainly because I want to know. I always want to know how people are responding to the moment, the historical moment.
Totally.
But so I have music that I listen to because it's like important to me for other reasons.
Yeah.
Older music.
Yeah.
But then I always am trying to figure out what is the pulse doing to people right now.
Yeah, contemporary work,
But I also I love podcasts. I love podcasting, and I just had the most amazing confluence of podcasting and hip hop last week.
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg was on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Oh, okay.
Dude, and he was so fucking epic.
Yeah.
He had, just smoking the whole time, but he had 3 phones out, working them the whole time.
Yeah.
And he brought in a microphone and a boombox, and he debuted 3 songs.
Crazy.
Rogan doesn't ever have music on his
thing, no, 100%.
But he was like, you just do whatever you want, dude.
Yeah.
Just do whatever you want. But so Snoop Dogg is now the head of Def Jam.
Crazy, makes sense.
Which is a wild, beautiful thing. Like, he's going to take that vision and do some cool stuff with it.
Yeah.
But he's also part of this group called Mount Westmore. Have you heard of this?
No.
Snoop Dogg, Ice Cube, Too Short, and
E40 or something.
E40.
Yeah.
And E40.
Yeah. Yeah. I can dig it.
So if you like kind of old school hip hop, dude, it just made me feel so good just to see like, a lot of the things that have developed during our lifetime, people thought maybe it was going to go away. It was a fad. It was this. It was that. It's so good to see artists who just stuck to their guns.
Yeah. Yeah.
They knew it was good.
Yeah, totally.
They knew it was good, and they made a way to make it work, and the whole world grew into this thing where it's unstoppable.
Dude, it really is a hip-hop world, and like I see it as art and as a way to like convey yourself, and totally the the language of the youth, or what's the pulse of the streets,
Yeah.
And so I'm glad it's here to stay, and the music that I really love as far as rock and stuff was dead years ago, so it's like I don't even really listen to a whole lot of new rock music, it's definitely like I couldn't do the emo stuff, it was like hardcore metal, and then I was like, all right, like that's kind of it.
Yeah.
It's like everything's always changing, like it should be,
Of course.
And so it's like, I'm with that. I can respect it, and especially seeing like the old guys that are still around doing it, that you're right, stuck to their guns and just kind of like, because they were Public Enemy #1 back in the day, like not the it was just like
100%.
Get rid of these guys,
Dude,
and like they're in every home now.
Yeah, Snoop Dogg
Martha Stewart.
And he had a murder case in his first album. When he was recording the first album, he was on trial for murder.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I'm saying, because I always feel like this is an important issue for artists in general. Is like sometimes I feel like people censor themselves because they don't think that they'll eventually be able to do other things.
Yeah, they try to fit in a certain parameter so they'll be successful.
Yeah, and for mainstream especially.
Yeah.
Right? But it's like, well, you got Arnold Schwarzenegger as a Terminator or Kindergarten Cop.
Yeah.
In a way, it's almost like if you prove yourself in the more hardcore thing, it almost opens up a lane for those innocent things.
No. If you could do that, you can do this, no problem.
Well, that for sure too, but I think people like that. Like they like to see the scary figure being vulnerable and like dealing with kids or like in a different context. Like once you have this sort of bad guy, scary reputation, seeing you be nice is like a cool contrast.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, you see him and it's like, you know what that guy's done, right? He's an actor now, but like, you know what he's been up to, right? It's like completely different,
That dynamism, that range.
Yeah,
I
totally.
think that contrast is part of. We like to see people in different circumstances and go through change and evolve.
Yeah, and come out of, everybody, I mean, the struggle is real. You got to go through the struggle.
Oh,
like,
all the
you
time.
gotta, like, if you get out of the struggle, like, let me know your secret.
No. Gotta just embrace the struggle.
But yeah, exactly. And it molds you to who you are and who you should be and who you're supposed to be.
For sure.
Like,
and things that you don't even know you're going to be doing later.
Yeah, and man, it puts things in perspective for you later down the road too. It's like, hey, like, I'm a struggling artist right now, but because of the things I went through, like, this isn't nothing.
Exactly.
Like,
I love that perspective.
This is easy. Like, I mean, I'm not saying it's easy, but as far as like the troubles I'm dealing with and the problems I want
these problems.
It's like, I'll take these problems.
These are the
any
good.
day.
These are the good problems.
For sure. Like,
and that's why
kind of problems.
That's why when you said you want to pay your dues.
Yeah.
To me, that's the best place to start from, and that's like if you have paid your dues, at any point in your life, dues are going to come due.
Yeah.
So you might as well pay them up front instead of jumping out too excited and getting ahead of yourself and all this. Now you got to pay the dues.
Yeah.
Like, no. That's part of the process.
Totally.
Like we were saying earlier, there's a symbiotic relationship with the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's a give and take.
Yeah.
And so as long as you keep that in mind and you start with that mentality, I feel like that's a good grounded place to come from as an artist, because it's a funny world.
Yeah. No, totally.
So tell me about your merch.
Oh, yeah.
Really cool stuff.
So we'll start with this one. Chris Powers printed it. Shout out to Chris Powers. Find him at Chris Powers _ Chris Powers. He's a great screen printer around here, and he kind of helped me come up with the design. But
Nice.
I had taken the picture and freehanded the logo in Procreate. I'm trying to get into a little bit more of the iPad stuff.
So you drew that.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I did it by hand first, pencil and paper, but like to get stuff
Digital.
easily on, it's just the way to go these
For
days.
sure.
So this, the image is looking down at like one of the most famous jade spots, Jade Cove. And so it's a really recognizable image. I made it for like the community, but also like, hey, if you don't know what you're looking at, like there's a road, it's a nice setting, you know.
Yeah.
But if you're in the know, like,
It's symbolic.
yeah, I have people hit me up in Santa Cruz like, hey, I don't get to go hunting anymore, but I need one of your shirts. Like, I know
Nice.
that road, you know what I mean?
Nice.
So, and that's one of the first spots normally people go. It's just kind of like the rite of passage, you know. And it's down a cliff. You got to use some ropes and.
Oh, so it's not
and,
easy.
Yeah, it's not an easy spot, but it is one of the more known spots, you know. And so Chris kind of helped me out with the design and came up. It's got like a raised green on it, which made her like pop. He's pretty
I
smart
like
about
that.
what he's
Yeah,
doing.
that's sick.
And you know, I based the lettering off of kind of like hip hop graffiti and Lord of the Rings, you know.
Nice.
Like,
Dude, I love it. There's a
because I'm a nerd at the end of the day. Like
Yeah,
I grew up all in fantasy and playing board games and all kinds of stuff. You know, just thought it was uncool at a certain point and getting back into it. So
imagination, man.
and then the tie dye I did myself because I definitely come from
Wow.
that. Like my dad's side of the family.
Wait,
is,
you did the tie-dye?
Yeah, I
part?
did the tie dye.
Wow. How much do those go for?
I'm doing it for like 30, you know.
Yeah.
And probably,
That's a good
you know, more going forward, but it's first edition
How
stuff.
much are these ones?
25,
Cool.
you know. And so,
And they can find them here at the shop?
yeah, you can find them at the shop.
The
And
best way to get them?
yeah, I'll mail things anywhere. I don't care if
Okay.
you're right over in Aptos and you just don't want to drive, I'll put it
Yeah.
in the mailbox. It just
And
it's
so that
included
through
in the fee.
Instagram or?
Yeah, you can find it through Instagram. And I will have my Etsy shop up eventually, just once I have stuff to populate it with, you know.
Okay. So it'll be Etsy shop too.
Yeah.
Sick.
But I'm gonna do more of the tie dye.
Wow, so the tie-dyes are one of a kind.
Yeah, these are one of the kind, and they were just kind of like shirts I had hanging around.
Oh, cool.
And you know, so I washed them up real good.
Yeah.
And tested them, and then people really loved them. People responded to it really well.
Nice.
So I was like, all right. And I hand printed them. I'm trying to get into the screen printing a little bit more, and just being
Oh, you did?
yeah, like
Sick.
trying to be self-sufficient and know what I'm doing before, you know, and just have. Big part of it is I get bored, like not forever, but just in the moment. You know, certain days I can't carve.
Sure.
So it's like if I have something else to do, like that helps out big.
Yeah.
You know.
They call that active rest.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
Right.
I'm just taking a break from what I'm doing, and then
I'm doing something else.
yeah, I'll mull it
Different.
over. Like I
Yeah.
try not to take days off. You know,
Yeah.
like if you're always on, you're always on. It's physics, objects
For
in
sure.
motion. You know?
Absolutely. Momentum, bro.
Exactly. You got
I
to keep
believe
it
that
going.
100%.
So like, yeah, I mean, even if I'm not carving, I got to be in my shop.
Oh, yeah. You gotta be moving it forward one way or another.
Yeah, totally.
Making a post, doing something for sure. Nice. So those are two totally different looks that you have offered here.
Yeah, and I got hoodies, and I'm gonna have some crew necks coming and other stuff.
Show us the hoodie real quick.
Yeah,
And
hoodies.
how much does that one go for?
Hoodies are going for 45 right now, just the first edition ones.
Nice.
Get them while they're hot, you know. Prices will change eventually.
I'm gonna
but
grab one of those.
yeah, I got you.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I wear mine regularly. It's totally good for the winters around here.
Some good hoodie is a nice thing to have, and great way to support local artists, but also just a cool look.
Yeah, it's, you know, not a regional thing. It's just the Jade Road. You know, we're all on our own road, and I chose the Jade Road.
Absolutely. Now, okay, anything else about that name?
So yeah, I base it off the Silk Road because I have I got hit with a bunch of dreams all at once. You know what I
Dreams?
mean? As far as like what I wanted to do, where I saw it going, what it was going to become.
Yeah.
And so, like, I was thinking of a name that, like, originally it was, like, going to be Patrick Ayers Creations or something like this, you know, just use my own name, put my own name on it.
Yeah.
But, you know, I was like, all right, let's think, like, a little long-term and what it could be. And so the Jade Road, I based it off the Silk Road just as, like, the traveling road, not the dark web seedy stuff. And like, you know, eventually I just want to have, you know, the trading post and the place where like all artists foster the community that is around here. And,
Nice. Where would that be ideally?
I mean, ideally just in town somewhere, but it could be down in Big Sur, could be down in Morro Bay, but I want to stay around here. This is where I'm born and raised, and
Nice.
I tried leaving for so long. I tried getting away,
Yeah.
and like I just keep getting pulled back in.
It's the same with Santa Cruz. I feel like the Monterey Bay in general.
Yeah,
Where are
yeah.
you gonna go?
Yeah, it's
Match
like
this.
no, dude,
It's impossible.
No. I've lived in some really bad places, so this
Yeah.
is okay with me.
I feel like this is like heaven on earth. man.
Yeah, yeah. No, it really is. It's you're in paradise every day. Pretty fortunate.
Yeah.
And hopefully I can stay around here.
Yeah.
But yeah. So the Jade Road, it was just based off the Silk Road, and also like my travels going down to hunt for jade. So it's kind of like double. It's like as soon as I get on the one, I know where I'm going and what I'm headed to do.
Nice.
And so like I spend time down in Big Sur and stuff, but I'm usually just shooting down to South Coast. I got a fast little car and just enjoy the drive.
You get this feeling of exposure out there too, yeah.
Yeah. So I went for my first night hunt the other night,
Ooh.
and like I pulled up at the beach at like 1 a.m, and the moon was setting, and I was like, all right, like I've lived in the woods. And it was
Sure.
It was completely different.
You can still scare yourself.
Yeah, I turned it off. I was like, "There's nobody out here." Like,
That's the thing.
There's
right?
a road. There's people living up on a hill or whatever.
Sure.
But for the most part, like, it's
Solitude.
it's wild.
Yeah.
And there's been reports of like mountain lions hunting the elephant seals down there.
Ooh.
And like, so I was just like, all right, just calm yourself, chill. It'll be fine. And I got all calm. I got down there, and there was 2 other people on the beach with flashlights. I was like, damn. But then
So
they
funny.
left, and then it was like,
Back out there.
yeah, it was different, dude. And so
Yeah.
it's daytime. I was like, oh, I do this all the time, and it was completely different. Daytime is like warm and inviting. Nighttime is like, you're definitely in the dark.
And you're on a planet. You can feel that planetary thing happening.
Yeah,
big
there's
time,
so many
huh?
stars out there, and you hear the like waves lapping up. And,
Yeah.
like, you're just kind of by yourself.
That's
you
rad.
can only.
I feel like if you took a person from the city who grew up in the city and just plucked them down there in the middle of the day, they'd lose their mind.
Yeah.
Just of the feeling of like, you're like you could be on another planet.
Yeah.
You just feel so exposed and
Yeah. And I've lived in big cities, and like I just prefer.
same thing.
Being on the
Pull
coast.
someone from the coast and plop them in the big city. They're gonna go nuts too.
Yeah, it goes both ways. Luckily, like, I can kind of hang in both of them.
That's nice. Yeah, I like both too.
Yeah.
But I definitely gotta have some smells of the countryside and like
Yeah, nothing beats it.
yeah. I mean it's what we all depend on, And I feel like you can't get out of touch with that, or unless you never were in touch with that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a big part of today.
Oh yeah, being out of touch
Just
with
being
that
born out of touch.
for sure.
It's not even like you don't know what you're
If
missing
you
because you've never seen it.
if you've never been in touch, how do you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't miss it.
Yeah.
You didn't know it.
But yeah, it's super important, and like, luckily, my dad's side of the family who's here, my mom's from England, so I don't have much of her family here. She's the only person.
Oh really?
And,
She's British.
yeah, she's full. She just got her citizenship, but yeah, she's English. She was born and raised.
Oh wow.
And so, like, most of my family here was the outdoor hippie type, like, they grew up in that time, my
Right.
my aunts and uncles, and so they were way more, like, in touch with it, and always making sure I was going camping and being
Nice.
out and, like, being in the water, eating berries and weird, it's like, not weird stuff, but like,
just rootsy stuff.
yeah, like, you got to enjoy it while it's still here. Who knows how long it'll be around, Like, hopefully forever, but...
Yeah.
Like,
Nobody's gonna want to take care of it if they don't know why it's so cool. Though,
yeah,
too.
yeah, exactly. And, like, I'm an animal lover of all animals, not just cute, cuddly dogs and stuff, you
Right.
know? It's all,
Yeah, they're
there's
all
all
interesting.
that other stuff out
Oh
there.
yeah, savagery.
Like, I'm pulling up rocks and eels are flipping out and stuff,
Mm.
And it's like, oh, hey, my bad, dude. No, come right back up
Yeah,
a little bit.
I know, right?
Like, so
He's like, ain't no
sorry."
Jade down here.
Yeah, I'm sorry, dude. My bad. You know, I'm not like, oh my God, kill the spider. You know, so
Right.
and I feel like a big part of that is because my, being raised, because I didn't get too much of that with my mom.
Sure.
You know, we weren't outdoorsy. She had things to do. She's a single mom, but like it was never like, oh, let's go down to Big Sur, or hey, let's go to the beach, or this, that, and the other. It's like, just go play outside. Go play in the street.
You definitely you need guides for that too, like to take you to the cool spots and like
totally
create those little traditions that then the road means something to you. Because you're going to go to this place, you're going to have these experiences.
Yeah, and it's been passed down.
Yeah. So what are some of your favorite small businesses in town, like restaurants? These guys were talking about some legendary bagel shop.
Yeah, Bagel Bakery's pretty like quintessential if you live around here.
Is that?
Like I've been going to it since I was old enough to eat a bagel, I guess.
Okay. So you're a
it
fan
was
of
like
that too,
yeah, you had to wear like bandanas to work there. Everybody had a bandana covering their hair, and they were all like pretty much artists for the most part. From what I remember, either tattoos or they were kind of the alt crowd working there, and it was always like a hub for that. And so yeah, the Bagel Bakery, like I still go there regularly. It's owned by different people these days, but it's still really good and really friendly. And my buddy just opened up a cafe over on Central called Cafe Guarani, and so his mom's Argentinian, and he was born here, but he is as well. So during the pandemic, they opened up a cafe together.
Wow.
All based off her recipes.
Oh,
so they
cool.
offer like a lot of different like pastries and food. Some of the best empanadas I've ever had. I'm a sucker for those empanadas, and yerba mate, but of course you can get like your espressos and everything. So
where is that located?
it's over like in between Monterey and PG on Central.
On Central.
Yeah, it's Cafe Guarani, G-A-U. Yeah, you'll have to find it.
Nice. Sounds
Guarani, something like
Guarani?
that. Yeah, and they're on Instagram. You can find them, and they used to be there used to be a really famous local restaurant there called Tilly Gourd's, and so they got the backyard of that, and it's this beautiful floral setting that's really quiet and like super chill. So it's a nice place to go write and get a cup of joe or whatever.
Oh, nice. So it's got a coffee shop kind of vibe to it?
Yeah, totally. Coffee shop, and yeah, it's a nice little cafe. Them, and I don't know, like, honestly, I go to Trader Joe's a lot.
Make your own food. Make your own food. Yeah. I'm up
But
100% on that train for sure.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
But,
now, the Trader Joe's, is there only one?
there's two here.
There's two?
Yeah.
Things
Packed
go
up.
off.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I never saw so much attraction to a place. Like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that place is pretty nuts. It's always been a bad parking lot there.
Oh, the parking lot.
Like, I've been there since that parking lot. It was like a Long's or a Safeway when I first started going there with my dad. We lived like right up the street.
Oh, cool.
And so like, even back then with less traffic and everything, that parking lot was a mess. So it always makes it seem worse. But yeah, like TJ's is cool. Trying to, I don't know, man. Like the small businesses I support are the artists around me.
For sure.
Those are the people that I really try to give my money to.
Just curious if you had any like
He does.
favorite donut spot or we got
Yeah, Wedo's Tacos for sure.
Yeah.
They're down at the Dust Bowl, and
Oh, really?
yeah,
Oh, cool.
and they also just opened up another place. In cahoots with the Hacienda, which is out in Carmel Valley, which used to be the Hacienda Hay and Feed, and then one of our buddies got it and turned it into like an event area, kind of like community gathering place.
Cool.
So Hacienda, that's definitely a place I would check out. And they have like Sip and Crunch, which is another like coffee shaved ice, and then they have like good bites. I mean, they have burgers, Brussels sprouts, like kind of across the board, rustic kind of food.
Yeah.
Even their burger was really good. it wasn't traditional, so to speak.
Mm.
And so yeah, like there's a couple of them out there.
Sounds like some good spots.
Yeah, or the Noodle Bar. I mean,
What's the Noodle Bar?
Noodle Bar is good. Noodle Bar's a hole in the wall over in Seaside.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it's
it's a Noodle Bar.
the Noodle Bar. It's definitely the spot.
Dang, I gotta check that out.
They got another one over in Marina, but the one in Seaside is just like.
That's the original.
Yeah, I think so, and it reminds me so much of like Brooklyn, like going into a place that's literally like just the hole in the wall.
Only there for the noodles.
Yeah, and like you just like they got some seats, but it's always packed, and like yeah, it's definitely a regular haunt.
Local
Yeah.
lit.
Yeah, locally lit's pretty cool. They do candle workshops. They're based out of here. They're part of our folks.
I saw that space is so nice.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
like a beautiful space downtown.
I think it used to be like Rainbow Cleaners back in the day.
Really?
Yeah, it was something. So it was pretty cool that they got that. It's a nice big open area, and
Wow.
they're also doing paint parties out of it, not just candles. So, and we're trying to have other events. You know, it's just kind of Monterey's iffy. You know, so it's like
For sure.
whatever we can get away with.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah.
What about you? Any upcoming events? Any upcoming things going on?
Just gonna be doing like a little kiosk out of the hacienda. And,
Cool. When's that happening?
Whenever they like allow it, they just had their soft opening the other day, so they're trying to get it to where they can have like a nightly or weekly market throughout the holidays. And then eventually I'm going to be doing a show here. And I'm not much of a painter, but I'm a photographer as well.
Oh, cool.
I'm not a photographer. Like I just have an eye for stuff and take pictures.
Yeah.
And so like I'm probably going to do some of my black and whites.
Nice.
'Cause that's kind of what I like to work in, and it's usually of spots that are hard to get to, or random stuff like that. So, just trying to express myself more and more creatively.
Great.
And like,
When is that happening? The photography show?
oh man, it's not even.
That's just developing.
Yeah. So we have shows booked up until February, so it'll probably be after that.
So in 2022.
Yeah, 2022. I'm just trying to get ready for the holiday season. I got a board full of commissions.
Cool.
People just asking for holiday presents.
Are you all booked up right now with commissions, or do you have
I'll
more?
always
available?
take them on. I'd have
Yeah.
like a 2-week turnaround usually, and I just try to fit it in when I can.
All right, folks. So you heard that 2-week
Yeah.
turnaround. You better get those orders in now.
Yeah. So, but yeah, depending on what it is, I'm willing to take it on. If I really can't do it, I don't want to waste my time or give
Right.
you an inferior product.
Right.
But for the most part, I'm down for the challenge. You got to be asking for something really like abstract or
Elaborate.
yeah.
Cool. All right, Patrick. Well, so folks can find you at _Jade_Road on Instagram.
Yeah.
And that's where they could reach you for commissions, for merch, and to, potential baby mamas.
Yeah. What's up?
So thanks so much for being on the
Yeah,
podcast
appreciate
today
it,
and
Jake.
sharing some
Yeah.
stories.
It's been a good one.
A lot more I want to hear about, dude. We had to cover a whole lot today, but I definitely want to circle back with you.
Yeah.
If you're interested, I want to know about the father-son thing that you alluded to.
Totally.
So I don't know. Maybe you could think about that, like how much you want to share about that.
Yeah, I'm pretty open.
And then we'll reconvene for another podcast soon,
Yeah.
talking about kind of some of those background things.
Maybe we can get him in here.
Ooh, that would be cool.
He's a lifelong creative.
Definitely. Let's
Yeah,
do it.
Yeah.
Would you do it?
I'll see what's up.
Wow.
we'll see if we can get him in here.
That'd be epic.
Yeah, totally.
Thanks so much, Rob.
Jake,
Appreciate you. And say it again.
where can you be reached?
Oh, and you can find me at Becoming Jakespeare on Instagram. You can check out my website, jakejthomasphoto.com. And until next time, it's been another episode of Everything Jake. Thanks so much for listening. And get some merch. Peace.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sweet.